Yeah, look, just a little hit up from me today, Heels, and it's off the back of Payne Haas, obviously. I've had the pleasure of coaching Payne. I've had the pleasure of working alongside him and seeing him develop from an 18-year-old into the player that he is today. He's an exceptional player, exceptional trainer, exceptional the way he's able to carry himself and get through his business. Incredible durability. I think we saw that last year. 30 games he played last year, right through to the grand final, played test matches, origins, etc. Has always been front and centre of, the contract negotiations and the like, and rightly so, because he's so hotly contested. People want Payne at their club. You go back to 2023, the whole situation came up in and around that his management we want $1 million, otherwise we're going to leave. That eventuated in him being booed at SENQ Stadium. Now those boos quickly dwindle when you score tries, or you start winning. Now Payne Haas come to the club as I think he played around 18 years of age. He's been incredible in terms of his performances. 8 out of 10 most weeks.
Yes.
Consistency
and high.
6 Paul Morgan medal wins, which has never been done at the club. So he's certainly etched his name. The big thing that escaped Payne was the elusive premiership, that he's worked so hard. It's been 20 years nearly in the making to get that premiership. They got it last year, which I just find... all the things, if you put all of Payne on the paper, the family situation, the brothers that he loves and cares for, etc. At schools, some stability. His younger brother just signed with the Broncos from a development point of view. So many things that are happening. To then all of a sudden, now yesterday news comes that Payne is signed to go to the Rabbitohs. So I start to think, well, I'm trying to think of the why, and I just can't get the why. And we're hearing that it just needs a change, but I'm struggling, and I've got to be honest, I'm struggling to accept that that's the reason. So as human nature, you start to think, well, is there something else? So you start to dig a little bit deeper, and I haven't found anything. I'm hearing all these different innuendos, and I'm sure over the next few days and week or so that there will be some stuff come out, because it is such a big signing. And if you look at the Brisbane Broncos, and we've had some texts on it this morning here, how did they lose Payne Haas? Why didn't they do more? And I don't know this from talking to the CEO or the coach, but they have offered Payne a deal. Now, it would have been a substantial deal, equal of or thereabouts, or even more than a Reece Walsh. Now, you look at the team and where they're at. You look at the forecast of where you are as a player. Payne's 26 years of age, just won a competition, which has been what he's been after. That feeling of sitting there after the game, winning a comp, would be something he would absolutely cherish and understand. The post-career side of things starts to come into play around 26, around 27. Where am I going to be post-football? What does that look like? I've grown up in Brisbane. I went to school on the Gold Coast. It's a great city to be a part of. To now then go, well, I'm going to go and live in Redfern, and I'm sure he's taken all this into consideration. And this is not having a crack at Payne. I'm just trying to get my head around it all. You go down to Redfern in Sydney, big club. He's not going to escape any terms of fanfare and camera and the like. It's going to get highlighted even more down there playing for South Sydney. Post-football, what does it look like? Maybe Payne wants to to settle down in Sydney. These are all questions I don't know. But I just look at it and go, well, at the Brisbane Broncos, which is equally as of big club, but when you talk opportunities post, is there the same amount down there at South Sydney? What's been offered? It's only a 3-year deal, so potentially he could return, or that might be the last that you see of Payne Haas. It's a huge loss for Brisbane, huge loss. But I'm just struggling to understand that I need change. They're the words we're reading right now. I need a change. I can't buy that. And if that is the answer, well, I'll take it on the chin, but I'm just not taking it on the chin just yet until I hear from the coach, the CEO, and or Payne Haas. They're going to have to do it. The thing that, the timing of it, Heels, okay, it's before the season, so that's put aside. But they go to England tonight. They got their launch this afternoon here in the Valley, and then they're off to England they're away, out of the country for
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So by then the dust would have settled. The innuendo and the stories would not have. We just spoke with Peter Bedell a little earlier. But you got to assume you're going to hear from Payne Haas. If you were management in the football club, do you want to hear? Do the fans deserve to hear from Payne, or do we just move on and that's that? Should we hear from the coach? Should we hear from, maybe the chairman or maybe the CEO? What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, whoever's the best representative of the club in this scenario, who was really instigative of getting that offer on the table and then sitting back thinking, well, I'll never match that. And then who'd have thought that it was South Sydney that did match it? Not only match it, but trump it. Like South Sydney, how long have they been in the picture of Payne Haas?
Well, again, the stories that you're reading and whether they're true or not, the moment that Keon Koloamatangi was to leave the Rabbitohs, these conversations started to be had with Wayne Bennett. So it's going to continue, Heels. It will not go away, obviously, being such the enormity of the player. Mark's on the line, 13-13-55 from Windsor. Good morning, mate.
Yeah, g'day, Corey. Just wondering about the 2027 season, looking forward for the Broncos. You're going to lose Payne, you're going to lose Adam Reynolds, potentially a Ben Hunt to retire. Just wondering about what the leadership will be at the Broncos coming through. How do we replace Payne? What have we got in stocks coming forward as juniors? And who takes over those captaincy and leadership roles?
Yeah, great point. Firstly, how do you replace Payne? Well, simple answers there is you can't. He's just a generation. He's just a generational player. So you got to adapt. You got to change your style, and you got to change what you're doing there. Adam Reynolds and his leadership, Ben Hunt and his leadership. There's some wonderful leaders coming through of the Broncos. I guess the person that goes front and centre now, in terms of leadership, would be Patrick Carrigan, who's already captained the club at a younger age. But he now looks like he's going to be, solidify himself as potential captain and or leader, as he is already. Katoni Staggs is now into the picture. Jonah Pezzett comes next year. What does that look like? But they're going to have to go to market. Or do they then just sort of put these and nurture these younger players that's already in the system? I don't think you can. I think you need to go to market maybe for one of those, and what that looks like, I'm not so sure. But they're going to have some opportunity off the back of those three individuals that you just spoken about to upgrade some of the younger people. So that can be a good thing in terms of your development and your retention, but you can't replace those players.
No, look, it's a tough one, but let's hope 2026 is successful.
Yeah.
Well, they're big decisions, those. Who to upgrade or buying new.
Yeah, no,
they're big.
They are big decisions, and I'm sure that the player retention committee will certainly be across it all, Heels. So, no, thanks for your call, Mark. Anytime you want to come on in, like Mark has, 13-13-55 is the number, or send us a text 0467 736 736. The Scottish Bronco. All right, lads. Hope you are well. As a season ticket holder, I am gutted. The big man is leaving, but I wish him all the best. But I believe he has given up the opportunity to be a club legend and cement himself in folklore of the Broncos. He will always get my full support this season. I'll cheer him on to the second premiership before he enjoys life at the bottom of the ladder with the Bunnies, Heels.
No, that's how I feel too. Well put. And Scottish Bronco, you've gone the value season ticket holding. Like, they don't splash out too often, the Scottish, do they? So he's gone the season ticket holder. Good.
The Scottish Bronco, I'd love to know, do you want to hear from Payne? Do you want to hear from a club member?
A collection of who? Who do you want to hear from and why South? But I like the fact that I forgot what I was going to say.
Right, that happens.
something Scottish Bronco, and you wiped him off the list.
On such a big news day, while you're thinking, on such a big news day, I'd love to hear the thoughts on SENQ sports sleuth of the golf doyen, Paddy. Wouldn't he love to know the stripe that drew Payne to the Rabbits? I'm tipping they offered the kitchen sink and a set of imported steak knives. That's Murray. By all reports, Muzz, which aren't, they can be, they might not be true. It's all sort of similar dough. It's just the opportunity that he wants to go somewhere else.
Yeah, it's such a tricky one, isn't it? I certainly agree with Scottish Bronco that he's about to cement his legacy, but now he's going to finish up as a fellow who did a fair bit of work for us from 2018 to 2025.
He will, yeah. I mean, no one, yeah. Well, it's a great question, isn't it? I mean, will he go down as a legend of the Broncos?
A legend, yeah, but certainly not a long-lasting, as highly placed as many.
046
Unless he re-signs.
0467 736 736 is the number to come on through. We'd love to hear from you. Now, Heels, let's just get straight to this man. Peter Bedell, Chief Editor of the Courier Mail, joins us live on the line. Good morning, mate.
G'day, boys.
Well, a slow news day yesterday, Pete. How have you seen it?
Well, boys, I was trying to take the kids to the beach, and dead set the tidal wave hit me at Kira.
Yeah.
Payne Haas. Look, it's unbelievable. It's one of the biggest signing stories I can recall in probably 3 decades. I mean, I remember, for younger listeners who may not, but I remember Glenn Lazarus joining the Broncos from Canberra in 1991, and he was the number 1 prop in the game at the time, just like Payne is now. And in his first season at Brisbane, he took the Broncos to a premiership. And this is the type of signing I believe South Sydney have got. It sends shockwaves through the league, through the Broncos, and is one of Wayne Bennett's greatest coups.
Do you believe, Pete, that I need a change is all it is?
Look, we're trying to get to the bottom of it, Heels. But the conspiracy theorists, and there's probably a fair conspiracy there, would ask, is there a problem with Payne Haas and the coach? Now, I don't know that. Everything I've heard is that Madge and Payne get on great. They were in New South Wales Origin teams together. Madge has always spoken so glowingly of Payne. But I'm just stunned that a player who has been with the Broncos for nearly 10 years, signed there as a 16-year-old, has now walked out on the premiers to join a club that's been also Rams for the past few years. And the other question you might ask, Heels, is money involved? Well, I've made some calls on this, and my information is that the money's pretty much identical. Maybe a little bit more, but certainly not significant enough in golf to say, it's just money too good to refuse. So this is not just about money for Payne. It clearly is about other things, and maybe it's just the challenge of resurrecting a great club that's been struggling in recent times.
Because he's such a huge name, Pete, I mean, people aren't buying sort of the change. It's just not happening. It just doesn't float the pub test. I need a change. So they're going to start digging. The rumour mill will just continually happen as it does so quickly. The whole Madge Maguire and Payne thing, you just touched on it. But there could be some suggestions that he's not adapting to the training style that Madge has, potentially, because the why is certainly something I'm scratching my head with.
100%, Cozza. And look, Cozza, you've been at the Broncos. You're their most capped forward. You know the culture of the club. You know the training standards there, the ethos required. You know Madge well. And look, I know that last year they did win the comp Brisbane, but there were some teething issues along the journey. Like that, it was a real shock to the system when Madge Maguire got to that club. And I know that early on, I think he possibly worked them so hard that maybe it was too hard too soon. And I know a couple of the senior players went to Madge approaching the midway point of the season and said, we just need to pull things back a bit. And, and to Madge's credit, he heeded the lessons, he heeded the warnings, and he actually made some changes, and it then triggered that amazing run to the grand final, which Reece Walsh took Brisbane to the premiership. So, look, is there major issues with Madge? Look, there were rumblings last year. A lot of them were unproven, but I still feel that there has to be more to it. But at the end of the day, if Payne Haas says he just needed a change, I mean, he's done everything at the club. He's won a premiership. He's won 6 Paul Morgan medals. Maybe it is as simple as him wanting a change and just a new scenery.
If you asked every individual that's part of that grand final winning team, Pete, would you do it all again? The same style of training, the same hard training to achieve a premiership? Every one of them would say yes. So, that's the secret to success. I mean, you go and ask the Panthers, they train hard. They train harder than most. That's why you win championships the way they are. I mean, it's just going to does it have the ability to maybe, derail the Broncos?
Or galvanise.
Because what's going to happen is, because it's such a left field signing and it's happened right on the eve of the season, people aren't going to buy it. So south of the border, there's going to be some journos that are absolutely going to concoct some sort of story. Do you think it could derail it all?
Oh, there's no doubt for me, Cozza, absolutely. Look, there's no doubt that this is a professional game these days, and the players treat it as such, and they're used to the transit lounge that has become rugby league. So, But the problem for me, guys, is this takes the air right out of the balloon for the Broncos. I mean, they're in the afterglow of a premiership. They're first in nearly 2 decades. Michael Maguire was just talking to me in a story just 2 days ago, boys, about building a Manchester United style dynasty.
Yes.
And he saw Payne Haas as a critical piece in the Fab Five that were going to win more comps for this club. So, look, I think they can still win it this year, but they're going to have to come to terms mentally with the fact they're losing their best prop beyond this season.
Pete, you've covered pretty much more stories than any about the Brisbane Broncos, and some of those stories that have come out over the last couple of months, and Payne has been front and centre at different stages. I mean, in 23, I think it might have been, he wanted $1 million, otherwise he was leaving. Then he got booed, and then he won the comp. He's done everything right, but for the Broncos, some of the stories we have read have been about his family, his brothers. They're happy in Brisbane. Brothers that are some private schools, etc., which is then all going to be uplifted because they're all going to head down to South Sydney now and house themselves in Brisbane. Which I guess then continually the question is, well, if we were hearing that everything was going nice, and there was suggestions that he was going to be the captain of the Brisbane Broncos, what's changed? Like, what's happened?
Well, guys, I'll say this about Payne Haas, and they're great points you just made, Cozza. Payne's a very private bloke. Like, I spoke to a couple of Broncos players, just privately last night because I was trying to get to the bottom of what on earth has gone on. And even they were blindsided. They didn't see it coming. They were shocked. And one said, we don't even know Payne, all of what Payne's thinking sometimes, because he's a quietly spoken guy and he just gets about his business and he then does what he has to do as a professional and then leaves and goes home to his family. So he's just the ultimate pro, Payne. Look, I guys would be surprised if Madge Maguire is singularly the issue, only because if we know he trains guys hard, but I know Payne Haas trains harder than anyone at that club.
Couldn't agree more.
So it wouldn't break his spirit. I think he'd relish the hard yakka that Madge wants. I do think, though, guys, we know the complexity around his family. His 2 parents are in jail. He's had to take on his 2 brothers as a custodian. I wouldn't be surprised if a part of him says, I just want to get away from the turbulence of Brisbane and start a new chapter in Sydney. And I can't blame him for that if that is what he wants to do to maybe help his family get a fresh start and rebuild his family unit in a new environment under a coach that he has enormous respect for.
Do you think South Sydney's a surprise choice?
Oh, 100% Hills. I mean, I'm stunned. I think we all are. I mean, we all kept hearing R360. And I know, guys, internally I spoke to some people at the Broncos and their board members or hierarchy were looking to sit down with Payne in the coming weeks to talk about not only signing a 1-year extension with Brisbane, but they were going to talk to him about life after football, how they can help him, and say that, Payne, you will never earn more money post-football than you'll earn now. So how do we set you up for life after football? So all those behaviours tell me they weren't expecting Payne to leave, and they were confident he wasn't going to go to R360. The only other club they were worried about was Papua New Guinea, because they've got tax-free dollars, and they thought if Payne was going to get a big payday, he might go to P&G. Mm-hmm. So they were the things they were wrestling with, but South Sydney never appeared on the horizon. But that's the mastery of the great Wayne Bennett. He's still got the magic touch, despite the criticism of him.
Are you privy to any get-out clauses at all in the contract with South Sydney, mate?
I spoke to Wayne Bennett this morning, and he didn't intimate anything around get-out clauses. Right. And I don't think Payne's that. Look, I think it's a straight 3-year deal. Right. Wayne doesn't play games. And I know there's a 10-day cooling-off period, but I don't think there'll be any backflips. I don't think Brisbane will be able to do anything to change this narrative now. Mm. So Wayne and Payne, they've got a great bond stretching a decade, and they've also, guys, bonded over disability. You know, Wayne's got 2 disabled children. Payne went through a lot with his older brother, who died sadly 5 years ago, and that's a huge factor. Payne has always bonded with Wayne over disability and their understanding. He always feels like Wayne gets him better than very few do, and so that's a huge consideration for Payne, and he'll be a magnificent signing for that club.
Well, if he can cope with the noise. He's going to an even noisier club. Yeah,
it's a big club, South Sydney, particularly down there in New South Wales. Mates.
Well, is there anyone noisier, boys, than Red Hill when you've got Dobbo, the mighty Dobbo from Channel 9, floating around?
Yes, there is. South Sydney and Danny Widler.
Well, he had a story last night, boys, that Adam Reynolds is set to retire as well. He's going to announce his retirement in coming days, so that was on Channel 9 last night.
I'm not so sure that's a big story. I mean, that's always inevitable. He's 38, isn't he? 38, so interesting.
35.
Yeah, come on, boys. Second premiership. Let's think about it later on.
Hey, Peter Bedell, thanks so much for your time this morning. I'm sure this will not be the last we read of Payne Haas leaving the Brisbane Broncos. Hopefully we hear from some sort of official, whether it's Payne, the coach, the CEO, today at the launch, mate. Cheers for that one.
Thanks, Pete.
No worries, boys. Anytime.
Well, we were so worried about what was happening north of the border and how the boys were holding up this morning, given the bombshell news. We better check in with them. How are you, lads?
Not good, mate.
Morning, gentlemen. How are we down there?
Is that you, Heels? You sound... Come on.
This is rubbish, mate. This doesn't happen at the Broncos. This happens at Penrith. Where you lose your best players and you have to find a way to replace them. Can the Broncos do it, I wonder?
Yeah, I know. That's what sticking to salary cap does. It means you lose players.
You never go. Do you ever go sussing them out if they want to come back, like Viliame Kikau, for example?
No, we couldn't afford him.
No. Right, he's outpricing himself.
Can't, and that's why they left. Ian, they left because they had deals on the table that couldn't not even be closely matched.
Okay,
all of those boys went for big money. They've all signed. Multi-year record making. Jerome Luai. The money's too big.
But Payne's not.
You make a good point, but Payne's not. Payne's on 1.3 at Brisbane, and it's reported 1.2 to South. My big question is the why. Have you worked out that yet?
We don't know.
We asked Michael Carianis 3 times because that's exactly right. It's not like it's a big money offer, and this was the point that Michael Carianis was making, who broke the story, and that is, okay, so, and it's a move too. We know the family situation that confronts Payne.
Yeah. It's like my sort of head scratch is like, why? Because we've heard the loyalty thing, we've heard the in and around the family and that situation. It's a pretty unique situation. Like only sort of last week, we were reading some articles that he was touted to be the next captain of the Brisbane Broncos, and then overnight, yesterday, the phone blew up that Payne Haas was going to South Sydney, and I just sort of, I still don't understand why.
You know where I was? I was in the phone shop.
Right.
Like getting a new, I'm having phone troubles, and bang, the big headline comes up, and the lady who's serving me, she's a Broncos fan. She was shattered, but I don't believe it yet.
Well, it is that big. It is. Oh, you think the 10-day cooling off, Brisbane can come back and make a play and keep him there?
Well, I can't believe, I'm like Corey, I can't believe he's doing it because there's no real obvious answer why yet.
Where were you on the day? That's Brisbane fans will be thinking.
That's right. JFK shot.
He was finding your phone.
This is as big as Nathan and Ivan Cleary going to Papua New Guinea.
Oh, yeah, that's around the corner. Just get set for that. Tax-free.
Don't make it personal, Ian. Come on.
It's a bombshell. It's a bombshell.
So there's a couple of things that come out of it too, and Michael wasn't sure he's going to chase this up, Carianis, and that is, are there any clauses inserted in the contract?
Yeah.
And then where does this stand on the greatest coups in Wayne Bennett's coaching career about being able to sign players? Because he's done it again, the great Wayne Bennett.
Yeah, well, obviously it's up there, isn't it? I mean, if you read the reports that when Keon Koloamatangi sort of made mention to Wayne before Christmas that he was moving on, that Wayne started to put some wheels in motion. But, I mean, Wayne's 76 this year, boys. Is he still coaching at 79? I
don't know.
That'll make it a bigger coup. That'll even make it a bigger coup. I'm not even coaching, and I got him.
Brandy, I hear that sort of bit of laugh in your voice. 76.
Well, no, that's right. Yeah. You don't think of Wayne as being that old, but that's a reasonable point to say, will he be still coaching when he's 79? Well, the way he's going at 76, you'd say yes.
Yes.
You'd say yes. Now, so what you're getting at, and you blokes can't believe why he's done it. So if the money's either a little bit less or the same, is there problems up there? Is there some?
Well, that's the first thing you think of, right? Like if he is going somewhere for the same amount of money, you start to go, well, what is the issue? Look, because as humans, it's human nature. You go, we want answers. And we're not accepting just I need a change.
We're not going to accept two premierships only.
You've just won a competition. Now, normally, you just made mention, Brandy. You lost Viliami, Kikau, Crichton, Luai, etc., but you lost them because they were good players in a good club and they were going to other clubs for big money, life-changing decisions for big money.
Family, families.
So from our point of view, I'm thinking you've just won a comp. You've been there for a period of time. You were wooden spoon at one point. You've won Player of the Years multiple times. You've just got there to the summit. You've won the comp and we're out. It's caught me by surprise, boys.
So the other one to add to it too is the story that around. Although Adam Reynolds has come out and said, "Well, hang on, I'll wait and see how the body is." But Adam Reynolds is saying, the speculation was, that's it.
Are we shocked, boys?
Not at all.
He's 42 years old. Like Adam Reynolds quits Broncos, please. He's 39.
Well,
the next one will be Ben
got
Hunt.
sucked into the news because there's a second announcement that has shook the club to its core. And they went back to Dobbo, and it was Renault retiring. We knew
so
that
everyone's
was on.
expecting that. Everyone's expecting Adam Reynolds to hang them up.
I will go this far, Greg. If Adam Reynolds plays on in 2027, it won't be at the Broncos. Like if he does want to play, it's just not happening at the Broncos.
Because Jonah Pezzett's going there next year.
Surely he won't do that.
Yeah. So he will retire, even though Renault didn't say it himself, even though he said, I'll see how the body is after 6 weeks. We are expecting, which is, Corey, what would have happened anyway. So if Payne Haas didn't go to South Sydney, Adam Reynolds retires, that still doesn't free up enough money, I don't think, to keep everyone there. There'd have to be someone there that is seeking an upgrade, and Brisbane would have to say, you know what, we can't do that. And they would get signed by another club. And that's what happens when you win a comp.
Yeah, it does. You're spot on. And I guess the next sort of piece of the puzzle is if Payne Haas, and he's still got a few days on the cooling off, Heels is thinking it's not true. But if he does go, who do they then go for? Who replaces Payne Haas? Do they just nurture the players that they've got? Does Xavier Willison all of a sudden take his game to the next level, which you probably think he will, but he's going to need some help along the way? I've had my sort of viewpoints on who I think would fit that role really well. But, I mean...
Who?
Well,
who'd you go with?
I think Mitch Barnett. I've got a real soft spot for Mitch Barnett, but obviously the Warriors aren't going to... they're going to hold him pretty tightly as well. So, and he's not off contract until 27. There's 45 props off contract in 2027. So it's going to be interesting where they go and how they replace. Like you can't replace a Payne Haas. It's like trying to replace a Nathan Cleary.
Is that a high number?
What's that?
For a normal number to be off contract?
Well, that's across the NRL.
Is there a prop shortage or something? How
it's
many
across-
halfbacks are? Well, how many centres are off
I wasn't
contract?
looking,
I wonder.
mate. I wasn't
Where there's
looking.
2 of them each team, but 45 off contract. No one wants
I
props
agree, Hills.
next
It's a
year.
big number, isn't it? Because sure, Corey's done his research.
Oh, maybe not. Sorry, guys.
Are you suggesting
have
I
I
haven't
thrown you under the
researched
bus?
No,
properly,
I'm
boys?
not. No, absolutely not.
I love the way,
There you
Corey.
go. I'll tell you how many centres. There's 31 centres off contract in 27, boys.
Yeah,
There's 18 fullbacks, 11 5/8s, and 15 halfbacks. And one of those halfbacks, boys, is Nathan Cleary. So, Brandy, you probably
back
should
to
start
that.
to put
Yeah.
a
Come
few
on,
things
don't
in.
let's not try and spin the story around tonight.
Props
Today.
are
Not
being
today.
very cagey, aren't they, in a year's time? My goodness, they're staying loose. What did you make of the Witzer, boys? Did you see anything you liked on the weekend?
Yeah, Brandy liked the look of Cade Reid and Raymond Puru from the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldog. And the other one, that just because you liked his name.
Cooper Toy. well, no, that was because Cameron Ciraldo interviewed before the game.
Yes.
He said, I don't want to single anyone out. However, I will. And he said, Cooper Toy. Well, looking forward to seeing him in action.
Okay.
Winger,
Yes.
for the young winger for the Bulldogs. There's a couple of clubs, boys, that are, they've got a decision to make with their halves. One's the Cowboys.
Yes.
And I think the Cowboys go with Jake Clifford and Tommy Dearden to start with. Jackson Purdue, even though he grew up playing 5'8", I think is better suited to the centres as it stands. Sandon Smith, Dylan Brown, Fletcher Sharp. I think Sandon Smith and Dylan Brown would be the way to start.
Mm-hmm.
Fletcher Sharp, not as a 14. I'd play him on the wing. And I thought when he did play on the wing,
Yep.
he was a star.
Okay.
There's no reason why Fletcher Sharp can't star for the Knights on the wing.
Okay.
I don't know where else to put him.
Is he-
Bradman Best, Dane Gagai in the centres. You got Kalen Ponga at fullback. I don't know. Fletcher Sharp played a few games in the halves last year, and I know he grew up playing in the halves. It doesn't seem to suit him at the moment.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He's strong, he's hardest. He's got his hair like Pappenhausen.
Yes. Oh, hair's great.
A
There's a lot of good
bit
hairstyles.
of progeny out there, hey? Fitzgibbon's son and Bud Smith, Jason Smith's son.
Yep. Jed Reardon too was Steve Reardon's
Cooper
young
Pye,
guy.
of course, is another one.
Yeah.
Hey,
I love the way, Corey, that you've identified. You need yourself a New South Wales prop up there at the Broncos to win a comp. I like that with Glenn Lazarus and Payne Haas, and then you said, well, we better get Mitch Barnett. So I can totally understand that.
Well, mate, I'm just saying, I'm not biased. I like the individual. I like the way he plays, boys. Hey, Winter Olympics, anything taking your fancy?
Downhill skiing.
Is that because it's on your TV now?
That's it. How fast do they
You
go?
got me unawares. Yeah, I saw a bit of the bobsled this morning at 3:30 when I got up.
Right.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was good. Dangerous.
Yeah.
Everything's dangerous, isn't it?
Well-
Winter Olympics. Just beware.
How do you like to be a
Don't try this at home, kids.
orthopedic surgeon around
They keep them
Olympic
in
sports?
business.
My goodness. Elvis Smiley, what about that? Brandy, you might have followed his debut win on
Heels.
Lixie Golf.
What an incredible performance.
Oh, he's back. He's
8
back.
under 64 and your first under lights, first tournament for Liv.
How good.
Which I was surprised. Well, we're talking about bombshell signings this morning, boys. That was our power rankings, bombshell signings, and we came up with a few of them.
Yeah.
Him going to Live Golf for me was a bombshell signing.
Yeah.
That was a surprise.
And undisclosed amount. Unlike others, his sign-on fee hasn't been talked about.
You know what, Heels? I was thinking about that this morning. I thought, how much did he get?
Yeah.
So no one's mentioned that.
Can't find it. Can't find
Is
it
that-
anywhere,
is
mate.
that-
But
do
he
you
got
reckon
7
'cause it's
over the weekend.
Yeah, picked up $7 million.
Do you reckon they undisclosed because it's not such a big number?
Yes, I'd say
Yeah,
so.
I agree.
Yeah, okay.
I agree.
Hey, Brandy, be interested to hear your thoughts. The new Supras for the supercars, mate. What's your thoughts on the liveries there?
Believe it or not,
livery's
Corey,
great.
I like it. I like it. I think it's a real goer.
Hang on, it's got his stamp of approval. There you go.
Yeah, rubber
Yeah,
stamp.
no, he liked them. He likes
Corey,
them, Corey.
what's it like under the livery?
Yeah, there's been some suggestions they're not good. They're not good at the minute, so a fair bit of testing to be done.
Are they electric or?
Hybrid.
They're
I think they're hybrid.
Hybrid.
That's the way to go.
No clutch. No clutch involved.
Oh, dear. Different livery for Payne Haas in 2027 as well. He'll have the South Sydney Rabbitohs jersey on. Good on you, boys. Have a good day. Enjoy your Super Bowl.
Yes, we'll do.
See you, fellas.